All right. So the the vice president's like the manager of the executive board, and there's going to come a time when someone isn't really pulling their load. How do you plan to respond to that to make them either get their work done or deal with it otherwise?
That's something that comes up a lot in organizations, as well as a lot of the things I've been involved with. Currently, I work in the dean's office, and one of the other students that works with me doesn't really hold his end of the bargain most of the time. And so I found it to be frustrating at first, but when I talked to him and I find out what it is that was holding him back, it turned out that he had a lot of coursework and he had a couple exams coming up, and he just couldn't fulfill the task. And I found out I was actually better at doing the task, so instead of having him struggle with it, I was able to complete it, get it done effectively, and I was also able to maintain a relationship with him, so we are both still on good terms with each other. So I feel like if I can communicate with someone and find out what it is that's wrong, and if I can find someone else to do the job, as long as the job gets done and the person's able to tell me what it is that's holding them back, I feel there's no reason to make light of the situation or to blow it up either. And I don't have to do all the work on my own. I can orient the other members to kind of pitch in and figure out what's going on.
One thing that I feel our board was particularly successful with this year was the increase in membership. Between last year and this year, our numbers have definitely been up. We've gotten a lot more participation. People are excited to be out here with us. What is your plan to maintain that excitement that people are getting in Nesby?
That's a great question. I'm really excited about the increase in membership. And one thing that I definitely want to do, as I said in my speech, was to make the GBM topics more interactive, more interesting, and definitely something that we can all draw from. I feel like if we can take something away from the GBMs besides free food or besides maybe some general announcements that we hear constantly, it'll encourage more people to come, and it'll bring more people, it'll inspire those other people to go out and bring other people to come in as well as like bringing people from outside already. And I think that along with the GBMs, like having initiatives such as the potluck dinner or having other initiatives that we can start, such as the freshman committee starting with social, are things that will bring in more members and things that will attract people to BES. If BES is the organization that I want it to be, it'll be something that everybody wants to join, that everybody is comfortable and proud of to say that they're a member of. So that's why I hope to take the organization.
Sure.
BES, like, everyone becomes really tight and close, and we can become like family. It becomes a little social sometimes at times, but how do you plan to still keep BES a professional organization?
The problem that I see all too often is, specifically with the lounge, there's more to it than just the lounge access. I feel like not enough people take it seriously that not only should you keep it clean, but you should also respect it and allow other people to use it as a studying area. It shouldn't only be an area where we come to socialize, although I'm really glad we have a place to de-stress after having a day where you sit in the classroom where people don't look like you or people may make you feel uncomfortable. So I think it's a really good idea to have an organization like this so that we can all feel like a family. However, as a family, we also need to encourage each other to do better, which is why I want GBM topics to also have people who do have internships or who do have really good interviewing skills to be bringing that to be making that a topic, kind of highlighting them or featuring them for the GBM of the week or GBM of the month, and kind of having them express like all their techniques or all their skills, kind of what they bring to the table and how they can help everybody else. But yeah, I think that's how I do it. Or even like how to apply for scholarships, so on and so forth.
You mentioned earlier about the GPAs of the chapter and how it's a little bit lacking. I was just wondering how you plan to change that or assess the entire GPA of the chapter for next year.
I definitely want to stay. I think we don't hold each other academically accountable enough, and so that's also something else that I want to do. I want to make sure that instead of just having more study halls, instead of just having more tutoring programs, we're actually making academics a focus of BES. We're actually taking that into our mission and making sure that it's expressed not only in our GBMs, not only in the lounge, but it's something that we all carry around with us in our hearts. And so I want this to be an experience where younger students feel comfortable approaching older students, and older students are more than willing to help younger students with their classes. And that I feel will help encourage us and empower us to do better academically.
What other ideas do you have increasing the finances within the organization.
I think one of the main fall-offs was the lack of participation that we had, which is what led to the end of concession stands. So by changing the orientation of BES and making it not necessarily less family-oriented, but making it something that's family-oriented as well as academically oriented, as well as we all want to strive to make this organization better. If everybody can have that common goal instilled in them, they'll be more than willing to help us with those concession stands and with other activities, and they'll be more than willing to help advance ideas so that we can not only advance financially, but advance in the future and for years to come. And I feel like those initiatives come with people who are already motivated, so we have to bring that motivation and bring those goals to life. And then people will start to produce. We'll see the organization start to thrive.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Do you want more?
Yeah, just this is like a follow-up. I had a big issue with concessions, and my issue was the amount of time that it took out of a lot of our students' schedules. You know, people would spend all day, 6 to 8 hours, just doing these tasks that brought in. I mean, it brought in money for our organization, but it's taken away from a lot of our study time, a lot of that concrete study time, that big gap of time that you have during the weekends to get your stuff done. So, I mean, kind of getting away from concessions, like maybe soliciting companies or like whatever ideas you have that, you know, could really, you know, take care of our finances, but wouldn't require so much stressful time for our students.
That's a really good point. And I think another thing we don't utilize enough is the contacts that the members have themselves with companies. And we kind of look to the e-board who already has internships or people who already have sponsors in other organizations, and we ask them if we can contact their own company sponsors. But there are a lot of us that already have jobs or that may have other contacts in order to get more money for the organization. So maybe tapping into our members and maybe if we can make it more of a fun event or make it not necessarily a GPM topic, but if we can kind of brainstorm together and collaborate on ways that we can raise money for the organization without spending too much time, or if we can orient certain members so that not everybody's dedicating their full Saturday and not everybody feels like their weekend's being wasted or they don't have time to study. Because the last thing I want to do is take away from our academics, because that's the one thing I really hope to improve.
Last question. Okay, like you said before, GPA is like one of your main focus for next year. What is a good GPA goal of the whole chapter? Like, what is a good GPA that you want the chapter to hold, and how do you think you're gonna achieve that? Like, what's your average?
I would probably have to think more on the actual number because already everybody's at a different point. Not everybody's starting off with a 4.0, not everybody's starting off with a 3.0 or even a 2.0. So I can't say that I want everybody to have this GPA because we may not all meet that goal. What I do want is definitely everybody working their hardest and everybody using the resources that are available to them, because too often we overlook the resources. Everyone in this room is a resource, and we're going to be a resource for the next freshmen who come in and who want to be in the same positions that we all are in today. So I'm definitely hoping that even if I can't come up with a number, that I can at least encourage people to not necessarily just raise their GPA, but also be working to the utmost of their potential. How I plan to do that is kind of instilling in them how important it is and showing them the success, like highlighting a member's success around the organization. Member of the Month it's a great initiative, and it does help a lot of people to participate more and to come out to more events. But I don't think we're talking enough about their academics or the things that they're doing outside of school. So we should kind of talk about their internships, their scholarships. This is what happens when you are successful academically, or we can bring in more professionals who are in our shoes one day, and we can show them, well, this is where you can be if you excel now. And these are all the resources that are available to you. So what's stopping you from doing well? And kind of instilling that motivation in them so that they feel an obligation, not only to BES, but also to NSBE and the next generation to follow.
Go ahead. Last question.
30 seconds.
Sorry. Going along with the GPA thing, I know that this year, I don't know if we still have it or not, we had access to like getting tutoring. We had questions on specific subjects from like older members, but I never went to those things because I feel as though like if I had a specific question, a specific business question, just because I know everyone in here is intelligent, but just because you've taken the class before doesn't necessarily mean you'll, recall everything, because I know students came up to me next year asking about physics, I'll probably have been like, but, so, like, do you have any ideas of how to actually make these tutoring programs and stuff like that actually effective, rather than just, just a waste of time?
Okay, I understand, and if the student came up to me asking me about physics, they would be very disappointed, because I wasn't able to help them either. So I do understand that definitely more than you think. But it's not necessarily that we need someone there to help all the freshmen with all their classes, but maybe to provide them guidance, because even this past year, I'm taking Physics 2 now, I was able to go to Femi, and although he had taken the class 2.5 years ago, he was still able to flip through my book and tell me what it is that I needed, or at least who I should go to if I did need help. So just having people telling you where you can go even is something that's another big help, or even what websites you should use or other resources you can look into. And tutoring, if the tutoring program isn't as effective, is not as effective currently, I can find a way to change that, because I don't think the way we're running it right now is really the most effective way that it can be run. So I'd have to look a little bit more into that in order to answer your question, but that's definitely something I want to change, because I don't want other students to have to feel like that.